Right. Um, so if those of you now can just mute your microphones, we have Izan and Kimberly Rose joining us. Thank you very much, Kimberly Rose, for getting up early on a Sunday and joining us, and Izan from Oudtshoorn, South Africa. I know a number of you said you really wanted to listen to the recording, and so I'm hoping that you can feel into the vibe as I share. Really why I wanted to get on is obviously I skipped the full moon meditation the other day, only because my body actually couldn't walk in a straight line because I was so dizzy, and vertigo was just, I kind of was ending up walking into the passage wall all the time. And even if I sat down, it was like, whoo. Because the one thing I wanted to say is that physical bodies are changing and adjusting quite quickly to the different energy around us, and there is lots of different energy. And not only that, but we're in many timelines at once. Because it was clear to me when I was having a conversation with my son, something happened, and I was like, whoa, but hang on, that's why I'm so dizzy. Because it just felt like everything, it was deja vu, but deja vu on steroids, where I really felt that I had slowed down to be part of the conversation, but that I've been forward in a future timeline doing something else. And it wasn't like a clear mental picture, but my body and my sense just really felt that I had been in the future and I'd suddenly rushed back to the present moment. And I think a lot of us are doing this, because if there's anything that I can gather from some of the incredible remote healings I'm offering small children and newborn babies, is that many are saying to me, hold space, I need to go back to pick up more tools. And you know by now that I share weird things, and all of you are my weird comrades anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But 9 out of 10 of the remote sessions I've been giving young children or souls incoming, because their physical bodies haven't arrived yet, it's like they've come in and they're like, oh my God, okay, wait, I need much more to deal with this. And then they return and they start packing in, visually, this symbolically, packing in a number of things they need to actually deal with the energetic environment that is showing itself at present. Because there is a burgeoning, how can I call it? Spiritual narcissism. And I know I've spoken about the spiritual world before, right? But it feels to me that there are very many strong, because that's how I feel it, vortices of energy. So the analogy of pulling the plug. So let's say that we're in this, we know we're in the throes of the breakdown. We know we're in the throes of like old buildings, structures, symbolic collapsing. So it's like the tremors and the trembling associated with that. But not only that, the crumbling of that leaves this open space, right, of spiraling energy that is sucking into it anything that is part of the energy structure to create a new energetic environment. Okay, I know I hope I'm not losing you. So let's just say that this tumbling, there's people running everywhere symbolically, where do I go? Do I go here? Do I go there? Am I in victim consciousness? Am I going to sit with fear? Am I going to sit with shame? And so we know that the structures are still going to exist. Everyone's not going to be eradicated of shame, right? But if there is a strong resonance of that, that energy is being sucked into that, and a new platform is being created. So it's not like it's going to disappear. But there's various now new dimensions that are living in the same timeline on the planet. Does that kind of make sense? I hope so. So when I was trying to connect into the earth the other day, I haven't connected into the energy of earth for a long time, actually, truth be told. I was shown, and this is what it feels quite important that I share to you. And I had thought, do I share this on YouTube? And I thought, no, I'm being careful with what I share at the moment. I'm just sharing it with people who understand what I'm sharing. It was like I connected to the grandmothers and great-grandmothers. When I'm talking grandmothers, I'm talking the spiritual grandmothers, right? The ancient grandmothers. And in particular, I received connection with Grandmother Spider. Now, obviously not spider, but the element of, and I think it's in some Native American, and you would know coming from America, you know, Kimberly Rose, is this element of creation, right? Creating the webs, creating the new tendrils for a new place. And so when I tapped into the grandmothers and grandmother spider, I really had to move deep, 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 deep down into the heart of the earth. And it's there that I almost had to go very gently and very quietly, as I saw these very thin, delicate golden strands being created. Because my sense is this new earth that people talk about, I've referred to before, a lot of the spiritual people saying, oh, it's here, fifth dimension is here. And I'm like, no, it's not. The depth to which we have to go into the heart of the Mother Earth to connect to this very tentative, intricate web is almost as if we were reaching up to infinity in the stars. And what I've been shown is that when we go down, that we need to be gentle and tread lightly, but in the same time, in the very power of our heart, because mingled with that, I am feeling a strong call to action. And not an action just going to, you know, like I had my live event. This is actually, how can we build something new while there is nothing out there, right? And I was reminded of, and I don't think I've got it here, I had a number of messages while I was trying to actually tap into this. So it's like the times of being afraid to speak what you know to be true are gone. A quote by, I think it was Emerson, who said that it's not about following a path that is already there. It's about creating a path where no one has trodden before. It's also about realizing, because my beautiful Siya Kolisi, you may not know him, Kimberly Rose, but he's the captain of our Springbok, our rugby team. And he's a young African gentleman, well, not so young, in his 30s, I think, but started off with nothing, you know, would go to school hungry, you know, his grandmother took care of him. He's really risen from nothing. And he's this powerful, sure, he's one of my heroes. And he was talking about the dreams he has, right, for society, given the society we're in South Africa. And his one comment really struck me, and it's kind of related to this theme that I want to share with you, is that he said, my dream and what I wish for change is so big that I'm not going to achieve it in this lifetime. But I need to step as if it already exists, because those that follow me need to find it. And I really feel that this is what is called for now, not distraction and dancing in circles with sacred flames and incense, not, you know, kind of holding even crystal workshops, all beautiful, all amazing, but how do we take what we have and what we know to be true of the way humans are being asked to engage in a way that is a call to action? And for each one of us, that's going to be entirely different, right? So for me, I'm feeling that fury in my heart that is sometimes the rage at the human suffering and the anger. But when I say anger, it's like passion, right? It's like, why are you still sleeping? Like, wake up. And again, not from a judgment point of view, but, you know, I'm doing this art therapy course because there's some stuff from my childhood I need to bring through. And I went to see a therapist and I was just like, I'm not doing this. So this art therapy is meditation and just using colors on paper, which suits me absolutely fine. And so when we were asked in one of the sessions to really put out a problem or an issue we have, it could be something personal, it could be general, and then we had to name it, I just felt this hive mind, this complete obsession with the mental plane and the whole field of mental illness, and the amount of drugs that are being pushed down teenagers and children, and the labeling that's taking place. And I just felt this fury come from within me at the sense of, where's the soul? When are you going to start talking about the spiritual aspect of somebody, right? And so that for me is the thing that's fueling me at the moment. And so my call to action is to step into the realms of science and to start collecting data. And as much as part of me is like, I don't want to go to that space, I don't want to go into that realm because, look at what they've got. I know that I'm actually not doing my heart fury justice if I just leave it. If I just say, well, the task is too big, I'll just keep trying to see clients, hold my workshops and do what I can. No, this is about really, really feeling into those new structures that are not yet here and may not be here for 50, 100, 150 years, but at least making a mark in terms of speaking the truth to people, not giving a damn what they think of you, and trusting that what you know to be true, right? Because we know it's true. I've now worked 8 years in this healing. I know it's true, otherwise I am damn crazy. But for me, I actually feel into this realm for most of the day. And so whether I'm called whatever, or I'm given names, or I bang on 101 doors and they turn me down, I'm going to start banging. So I'm going to start calling the schools. I'm going to start pushing to talk, and someone's going to invite me. And if I get one invite in the next 12 months, then at least I know I'm walking that path. So this grandmother spider web of the new requires of us to so deeply connect with what is true for us and to speak that truth no matter what, and to really start imagining that new path, the new world. One of the things Caroline May said, she says, if you don't have enough faith, then start to imagine it, because the imagination will build faith. And so take the initiative, be brave, even if being brave is talking to someone in the supermarket where they talk about their young son being put on medication. We need to interfere at this point in time, actually, and not in a rude way, but in a compassionate way. And if we get turned down, we get turned down. But it's almost like we need to start really holding that space for people, because most of them are walking around like zombies. We're in the depths of the zombie nation. And for the next 2 to 3 years, I think we're going to be. And so it's being true to you and smiling and being kind and all those beautiful things that most humans have forgotten, right? Because there's 3 stages that we're turning around and around in, and different people are in different stages, but I feel there's there's almost like what's the word, a conveyor belt of this. And so various people will be on the stage. So there's a seeding where people are going underground, and I've had to work with that over the past few months. And the last time I saw those images was around the time of COVID. So we're cycling through another awakening, is my sense, where the seeding, those people that are in that path that needs to go deep into their fertilizer, deep into their shame, deep into their trauma in order to work through it and rise up. There are people in that seeding. They are underground. And what I felt more so than COVID, symbolically in COVID, I would take them underground, but not that deep. Now where I'm having to take them is much deeper, so they don't hear the trampling of the feet on top. So they're not disturbed by the chaos that is on the outer layers of the, 2-3 dimensional single blinkered engagement. So I've had to take them much deeper, because the top energetic layers of the earth are experiencing the collapse. We know environmentally too, right? The fires, the earthquakes, the fury. Mother's earth heart is also in fury, like a passionate, loving fury, like Kali, like I love you, but things need to change. So there's the seeding. Then for those who have moved through the seeding, they're coming out, but then the cocooning, right? So they wandered around the earth for a little bit. They've been a caterpillar. They've been eating leaves. They can kind of see a little bit more, but then they cocoon in. And then the third phase is that flying, right? Is the moving out of the cocoon. And each one of us will be going through those stages over and over again. And as we fly out of cocoon, we rise up a little bit more. And when I'm saying rising up, it's not that we're rising up away from everyone, right? We're feeling the wind of the new energies in our spirit, in our soul, until we engage in that, and then we'll go and seed in again. And for me, this is going to happen for the next 2 to 3 years as we cycle through times where we've just got to go under. I felt that, I don't know where time has gone from February to now. I pretty much think I've been underground most of the time, and still having to organize my life and do what I need to do and everything on the third dimensional realm. But I've either been floating, and like you said earlier, Kimberly Rose, that balloon, right? There's no sense of strong connection. You move around with what's happening, but it's remembering that you are ultimately connected to that grandmother spider golden web that is being created deep into the center of the earth. And it's really feeling that connection, however you feel you can connect into that. But it's landing gently, it's treading gently, which also interprets as self-caring for yourself more, listening to the words, really feeling into how would I speak to myself if I was my own mother, if I was that grandmother nurtured, right? And really feeling into that softness, because that softness is going to allow you to tap into that golden web of the new that is already being woven by the grandmothers of creation. And so this pulling, the breakdown, is creating a lot of vacuum energy, a lot of repulsion energy too. So if you've got someone who's really not in your zone, there might be a lot of friction, there might be a lot of tension as the two really start pulling away. And sometimes it can create even elastic tension, which when snapped, it gets quite like fiery, right? And tense. Because of what's going down, we are moving through that too. But this call to action is something that I'm going to be pushing the next few weeks and months. So watch the space. I'm going to be holding some webinars for those that want to be involved, because we also cannot do this on our own. We need to start building the community that is able to stand behind and forge forward and are willing to create this path in however they show up in the world. It's not necessarily something that has to be created, you know, in the practical. It's actually just a way of saying, I'm putting my hands that I'm going to forge forward. I'm going to feel that heart fury that says, this is my truth and I'm not afraid to share it anymore. Because the levels of embodiment that are also happening are also very powerful. And that's why I called them blood waters, to get back to my topic. Why did I say blood waters? It relates to what Izan was saying earlier. The physical body is really, really now beginning to feel what these new vibrations are like, as that soul field, whatever you want to call it, moves and brings more of that vibration into the physical. So you will have physical symptoms. However your body responds, just honor that. But the blood, for me, the circulation is really critical when it comes to flowing into the cosmic water and connecting into the heart of the mother. Because we know that without the blood, we wouldn't survive either, right? In the same way, we can't survive without the breath. So that real, tangible cosmic water, the life force, is what is coming through at the moment. And so the life force, the creator life force that is showing itself more, as I shared in March, I felt that, and I heard the words, the true light has returned. It's like suddenly we're out of this dome and we're looking up and the sunshine is coming down for the first time in thousands of years. That is life force, sheer life force, and our blood and our body is going to feel that. So you might oscillate between days when you can do nothing and other days where you're hyper energized and your vitality is hitting the roof. Really feel into that as those waves change and as that life force energy just comes in. Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm not sure where maybe I read this in Charlotte's Web or some story from my childhood that spiders, mothers, weave these little things. They're like little balloons, and sometimes the newborn spiders have a little balloon.
Oh, yes, the
that-
parachute.
yes, little
Mm.
parachutes.
Mm.
And so I got this picture of all these birthed little spiders just waiting to be carried to the ground where they could
Exactly.
then figure out, okay, which way do I go?
Exactly. And that's why I say this landing, and you know, many times I've spoken of that, this landing, the embodiment. For me, the sense of the landing is not like, oh, the new earth is here and I'm a spiritual warrior. Blah, 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 blah. It's yes, being active, called to action, but also feeling like landing gently and honoring the process, you know, because you will land when you're ready to land. You're not going to be able to force that process, that's for sure. You know, if you've got a parachute up, like you said, you know, Kimberly Rose, I love that analogy. And they're like, you know, the best you can do is kind of navigate, but actually it's just about really allowing the forces of change and the winds of spirit to land you, right? To guide you.
Yeah.
And I've certainly felt that my mental mind has been much less chattery, actually. It's been fairly quiet. There are days. It's almost like this quiet, this like as you're moving through that space, like, okay, I'm going here, I'm going there, and feeling into that inspiration where days you'll just feel like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit and do nothing for most of the day if you have a space to do nothing. And then other days, as you hit another strong wave, then you're called to action, right? And you feel that fire, that life force running through you. It's going to be a combination of that. But this, what I sent to is grandmother spider. They're also deep, deep, deep because it's too, how can I say the words? It's not yet ready to be exposed. And also, with everything that's going on in the spiritual community, at least, if it was to be exposed, it would be ripped to shreds right now. Right? So, as always, the land, nature is incredibly important to part of to connect into that grandmother spider web. And knowing that that is being woven as we speak, whether we do anything or not, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Is on, you know that?
My grandmother grew up here. I have a lot of
Oh,
spider
wow.
energy.
And you're
And
back there.
yes, after lots of resistance. And my one friend calls me a spider. I have a lot of spider energy, and I feel like I'm sitting, like kneeling in the middle of this Klankara basin or whatever. I'm blocked in, like there's certain, like I can't go to Mossel Bay, I can't go further than Carlsdorp. It's blocked me in, but I'm like sitting in the middle with all these connections into my blood and lymph and nervous system and whatever, and I'm just sitting there like connecting everything into everything.
Exactly.
Me connecting everything, I'm connecting into everything.
Exactly.
And it's like it doesn't want me to leave right now. So like that grandmother golden web energy really like okay, now it makes sense.
And you know what is on? It's like when I was, because like I said earlier on, is that I haven't, and of course where I am too, right? I mean, I would love to be living in the middle of the Karoo. But right now I'm in the middle of gangster land. And so the energy, the forces that I've actually had to hold myself stable in have been quite incredible. But which is why I've had to just go deeper and deeper. And each time I'm just shown a deeper place. And the other day, it was really the most beautiful thing because as I went down into the space, there was just like a small group of grandmothers, just a circle. And they were, though, if I can put into words, connected to the grandmother's grandmother through the mother of creation. So running through them was this golden web that they're using to weave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like there were those, yes, that were working with planet Earth, but they were connected to all of the central suns, the creator, you know, whatever you want to call it, those creative webs that are in their most pure form, that hold within them the imprint of the Garden of Eden. And I just use words to explain it, but that imprint that was made for humans to experience, that fundamental imprint where everybody has everything they need. There is no violence, and there are no, you know, there is this unified conscious presence where all beings just work with each other for the benefit of all, which is why this call to service has also been coming up a lot. Which is why, you know, if I do see someone who's on the more spiritual, narcissistic path, I ask them, what is your service? And I'm not saying service as in do things for free, because we also have to pay for a roof over our heads and food in our belly, right? It's just where we are still. But the service can be that when you do go to the shops, that you are kind and generous and calm. You're exuding an energy to be of service to others who might be in a frenzied, anxious state. Because I can tell you another thing too that I've also been experiencing is I've spoken about the dropping of the mental plane, right? I've spoken about how that is actually the artificial intelligence, where everyone believes they are just the mind, that everything's about the mind. I've had so many people come to me, some of them quite desperate for healing, saying, I think I'm going crazy. Which I said about a year ago, people are going to say that because it's like the energy in that is glitzing, right? It's like trying to listen to a radio station and it's just static all the time. And not only that, but it changes from one radio station to another very quickly. So dropping into the heart in whatever way speaks to you and holding the breath there and sit on a rock or under a tree if you are privileged to sit under a tree or in a forest and just quietly connect into that and drop deep into the earth where grandmother spider is working. Then we are also asked to pull that energy up. Let's not forget that, right? So a lot of people say anchor your light. But for me, it was very clear the other day. It's like, this is here for you. Pull that energy up, Lila. Pull it up into your physical body because your physical body needs it right now. So whereas before I might have spoke of this dissension coming in, now I'm feeling a rising up too, that we are descending into, but if we can connect deep enough, we're pulling up from the golden web and the two are going to meet at our heart centers. And then that golden web is going to be created in our own field. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
It almost feel like you're talking just to me today.
Fantastic. That means, you know, it resonates completely.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we are. And different people are in different stages, you know. I mean, I think the biggest frustration is knowing that, yes, you're called to be in that truth, but that everyone can only meet you where they are. And we also need to allow for that, right? Is for people just to meet you where they are. Because the intricate nature, the delicate nature, the tentative nature, because I wrote down here in my notes, the first makings of that new energetic field require us to be gentle to ourselves, to others. You can be passionate and act, but you can still be gently powerful. Because the power, if it resides in the center, is met, yes, as action, but in a way that is not threatening. And I think that's what I mean about gentle, is for us not to be threatening, which is why I had to write my newsletter 4 times and I still haven't sent it out because it wasn't so gentle. It was like, what are we doing, people? Because I have those moments, and I've had those moments a lot over the last 48 hours. Where it's really, I felt it so that my whole field is vibrating and I almost feel like I'm choking. It's just, you know, it's just coming in and just wanting to. But then I take a deep breath and I just remind myself to just stay in my center. I think that's all I felt I needed to share today. This does require focus. It will require commitment. It will require a deeper sense of connection to whatever you feel you need to do on a daily basis, and doing that and being honoring that. Yeah. So I hope that has helped or shed some light. I might be holding another different type of community gathering where I talk more about what I would like to initiate, and maybe ask people if they want to be part of that. You don't have to do that all, but if you had some skills or you felt you could kind of support that in some way, then I'd be more than welcome. I think I will send out my initial template, because it needs to be that professional, you know, I'm going to have to go and hold that image if I'm to talk to the people that be. I can't just go wishy-washy and say, I'm going to come in with crystals and some incense and I'll clear a space and then everyone will be happy. You know, I have to go in with, these are my guidelines, this is my intentions, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to train, this is how I'm going to build it. But yeah, the next month or two. And then I just wanted to remind you that due to the very great generosity of my husband, who has now, fortunately, while I've been very quiet, had a couple of construction jobs, he has gifted me a trip to southern France, where I'm going to spend, I'm so excited because the spiritual sabbatical has been calling me for so long. And with all my children now out of the home and me kind of detaching and untangling from my children and feeling like they are spinning in their own little vortices. It's the first time ever I will have gone away on my own, believe it or not, ever since I left home when I was 16, and now I'm 56. 40 years later, we find time for ourselves. But, you know, as long as there's always time. And so I'm going to be flying into Toulouse around the 18th of October. And then because I've had this whole calling, I've had past life as a Cathar, and this whole Mary Magdalene energy is building up and rising up in me, there are various sacred sites that I'll be visiting. And so I'm hoping that I will be able to, as much as I need to just vacate everything, my whole life, and just switch off, I would very much like to hold a session there with my community, to feel into those energies, because it's a lot around. That's why I put the red rose. You know, it was Community of the White Rose who started here, which is the spirit, the coming into the heart. The red for me signifies the blood. It really like bringing that into the physical presence, bringing the spiritual essence through every pore of your body and just showing that in whatever way speaks to you. So I'm going to be with my Kabbalah teacher for 2.5 weeks, whom I've yet to meet in person, but came to me in a dream in 2020. So if you would like, I feel that we can call a session. Obviously, I'm not going to not show up before then, but I will be intermittent in that time. But I will definitely make an arrangement either at one of the sacred sites or where I'm staying with my Kabbalah teacher, which is also a village in southern France, because southern France is the place that's calling me. I think that's all.
That is wonderful.
I didn't think it was going to happen, Kimberly Rose, but it is happening. My flights are booked, and yes,
Excellent.
it's all worked out
Excellent.
very nicely. So I'm very happy about that, and very interested to see. I'm staying open to see what happens. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe I just get to meet my Kabbalah teacher, but that's also okay. There are no expectations. But I will definitely schedule a session during that time. So if there's no more questions or comments, I think I will close it here. And thank you, Izan and Kimberly Rose, for coming on live and Thank you, as always, to my community. You would have seen my poll. I'm here to run this group for as long as you wish to have me still. And I think we'll get together soon enough again for a Q&A, if the very least. I think Virgo full moon, new moon is coming up again soon, so we'll definitely have a meditation. I did create a meditation to heal Mother Earth a couple of days ago, which it felt necessary, and I'm loading that up on my Insight Timer profile. So as soon as they've approved it, I'll send the link here, because the more of us that can do that in whatever visuals you receive, she does need our support right now because of what's going on. So I'll be very grateful if you would listen to that video, the meditation, because it will just take you in and enable you to just be that conduit, and you might get your own visuals and can do your own healing meditation, but that maybe will just prompt you to feel into that, because she does need that support. Okay. So I'm sending you lots of love, and as always, blessings from my heart and my home to yours. And Kimberly Rose, I hope you have a beautiful Sunday. And Izan, I hope you have a beautiful rest of afternoon. And we will speak again soon.
Thank you.
Yes, and a little heart to you. Oh, look there. Perfect heart. Hearts to all of you. Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.